And then there was this point where I realized, like, I am trying. I'm just trying things and to see what sticks. And so if anyone wants to shame me or be upset with me or talk about me for trying, hey guys, and welcome back to another Limitless Conversation. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, okay. I am your host, Authentically Sean. If you are new here, welcome. Here on this podcast, Limitless Conversations, we talk about expanding and being our best limitless selves. We go through what are the things that we think are holding us back, what are the things that we believe are limiting us, words, and we bust right through those limiting beliefs by getting back to our actual truth. Y'all, woo baby, today was a day, like a day from heaven. Melodies from heaven. Today we're going to be talking about bodying self-doubt. Self-doubt is not allowed to live here no more. Proclaim it right here, right now. Let me hear y'all. Self-doubt can't live here no more. At least if it's not a healthy dose of self-doubt, right? Keep you humble sometimes, but we don't need too much of it. Quick update. Y'all. Ciao. The podcast is gonna be a little different. Super excited about where we're going here. I've been praying a lot, meditating a lot on my intention, what I want this podcast to do in the world. What do I want to give to the world? What is my purpose for creating this? Just getting back to the intention. I know that I had set these intentions before, but just coming back to the intention. And I remember that when I felt at my purest form of channeling and doing what I felt the most aligned with, during that time, I was channeling source. I was channeling God. I was talking to God about things that I was going through, getting God's opinions, getting some tips and stuff from God, and really sitting and breaking down these conversations and taking notes. The last 6 episodes, I don't know which episode this will air at, but episodes 1 through 6 of season 2 were definitely a lot more emotion based, which is absolutely beautiful, absolutely fine. I want to take that and I want to evolve it. I want to keep growing it. So the beauty of doing things is you start doing them and you refine as you go. I saw this post and it was a bunch of things, but I loved the one about podcasts. So they were like, your first podcast is gonna suck, but you'll never get to your 100th if you never do your first, right? So accurate. Okay, I'm 2 seasons in, midway into the 2nd season, and things have been redirected because I watch my stuff back, I listen back, and if I was a viewer, if I was a listener, what would I want to hear? What would captivate me? What would keep me interested? So those are the things that I'm looking at in my podcast to continue to refine it, to become the best storyteller that I can be, the best speaker that I can be, and be the most helpful that I can be. So I got some notes, y'all, and we're going to talk about it. So it all starts with a story, but I'm going to give step 1, and then we're going to get into the story. So step 1 to bodying self-doubt is identifying the voice. Yes. So quick story. I actually had recorded this episode about self-doubt already when I was actively going through the emotions of really understanding what was going on. Like I had all this brain fog, and I'm like, this is weird. I had never experienced this. But in that time, I had really identified what my voice of self-doubt was. So I want us to first start off by erasing what we think based on TV that self-doubt was, if you're anything like me. See, for me, I watched TV, so I always thought self-doubt was that voice that was like, you're fat, you're ugly, nobody wants you. Like, that's really how I thought it would sound. Let me tell you about one of my gifts. One of my gifts personally is I am really great at delivering you some of the most honest truths in the most graceful way. I'm blessed, and I thank God for the gift. It has allowed me to do tremendous things. What I realized is my voice, my little voice in my head, didn't sound like you're a fat, ugly, stupid. It didn't sound like that. It sounded like, well, you could probably do a little bit better. I know you wanted to post that reel today, but instead post it tomorrow when it's a more ideal time. I know that you thought that podcast episode was really good, but what if instead you worded it this way? So your voice might sound like, I know you really thought that that song was good, but what if you just tweak these extra chords? And the difference is in my voice, this voice was trying to help me. However, she was stunting me from actually going forward with things. She would be the one that made me stop doing things or kept feeling like I had to keep refining and changing things. So I had to identify like what my little voice sounded like because my little voice sounded a lot like me. She was soft, she was compassionate, she was really coming from the best place in her heart, but I didn't realize that that was what my little devil, remember the cartoon shows? Like that was like my little devil on my shoulder. She wasn't insulting me. She said it with such grace and she said it with such a loving heart and she said it with what seemed like good intentions. So the step one is identifying your voice, acknowledging that that voice of doubt doesn't always sound the same. It doesn't always sound like how we have seen it in the past. Sometimes it can sound gentle. Sometimes it can sound a little condescending. Sometimes it can sound a little bit doubtful. But it's not always this angry, irate voice. So, yeah, so I'm talking to God. That was the first step, right? So here's some things I wrote. Common things that come up: not being ready. They kind of all go to this, but not being ready, needing more information, uh, so let's talk about not being ready and needing more information. It's the idea that if you want to leap to do something, you just keep thinking about the best way to do it. I talked about this a little bit in episode 6 about being indecisive, right? One of my other recent ones was going to school. It was like, well, are you picking the right school? Are you sure you're picking the right school? Are you researching enough? Are you doing enough? Sometimes you just need to start. Most times you just need to start. So that whole idea of not being ready, let's debunk that right here, right now. Not being ready and needing more information on things, sometimes that's not the case. It's always important to check your intention and check your energy when you're doing things and be mindful of that. So without going to the next step. So yes, the next part is not being good enough. I used to feel like all of my content, I'm like, this content is not good enough. I can be better. I can do better. When I listen back, I would probably change how I would word this. And those were things that stunted me from putting out content, or even if it didn't stunt me, because for the most part I would still pretty much put it out, but it stunted me from being confident in where I was in my journey at the time. Like I wasn't honoring that this was ground zero. I'm trying a new thing. I'm doing a new thing. And so what I have to offer, what I have to give right now is good enough. Same thing with the podcast. Like 1 through 6 it had to happen like how it did because that was good enough for where I was and what I was aware of at the time. So you're good enough. Like where you are right now, you're already whole and complete and already ready to take the next step. You're already prepared for step one and step two. So where you are right now is good enough. And then the other one is not having resources. Um, okay, boom. I love that point that I wrote. Not having resources. So again, feeling like I recall a time when I was thinking about taking the podcast on the move, and I did end up filming an episode that didn't end up going live. But not because of this, it was because the audio went out. But I remember that there's times where I feel like I didn't have the resources to necessarily. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if the thing was recording. My bad, y'all. I'm sorry. It looked like it wasn't recording. I was about to say. Yeah, not feeling like you had the resources. Let me tell you guys. So my hard drive broke. Like I don't know if I expressed that already, but my hard drive broke, and I had 2 pre-recorded episodes on the podcast for the podcast. And my self-doubt voice came in and was like, well, maybe that means you're not doing it right. Maybe that means you shouldn't. No, it wasn't even doing it right. It was maybe you shouldn't even be doing this podcast. Maybe God broke your hard drive so you could stop putting out content. Maybe the content you were doing wasn't good enough. So again, she didn't come through and say like you're not good enough. She posed this out loud like a question, like, well, maybe you're not supposed to be doing this. Well, maybe you're doing it wrong. And the beauty in that was I had to change my mind about it eventually. But me breaking the hard drive, me breaking the hard drive, God breaking my hard drive. God, why you break my hard drive? The reason that God broke the hard drive was not because I wasn't good enough or I shouldn't do it, right? When things come to a halt or to a pause or to a restarting point, it's a moment to ask the question, of course, ask the question of what is needed. God, what are you trying to show me in this moment? God, what am I missing? Of course. But don't go into it thinking the most negative thing. That kind of rolls us right into number 2, which is talking to the voice or talking to someone about the voice. So when that voice told me that you shouldn't be doing this podcast, it's not good enough, you're not good enough, maybe this is what you're supposed to, maybe this is a sign that you're not supposed to doing this. To be doing this. I had to question, like, well, why do you think that? Why do you think that this means that we shouldn't be continuing with this? Why is that your train of thought? And it's like, well, because why else would it? And it's like that's when had to start introducing other thoughts, And I pray on it, of course. I'm like asking God, why? And with time, it was revealed. And give yourself time with this. With time, it was revealed that it was a moment for me to reassess. It was a moment for me to pivot, i.e., what we have here now, right? It was a time for me to reassess and to evaluate what I had done up until this point, and if it was still in alignment with what I wanted and where I was going, and then was I clear, right? Sorry. Yeah. So talking to that's why I was talking about some of the common things that come up, which I already have mentioned. But yeah, talking to the voice. And what do I mean by when I say talking to someone else about the voice? I got you. So going back to school, right? This has been a journey for me going back to school. And guys, by the way, I have officially submitted everything over to apply for my school. So by the time this episode airs, I will have my answer if I got it or not. And if I didn't, y'all won't see this part of the clip. But, but it's beneficial to have people around you, because sometimes you need someone else to talk to you about the voice that you're hearing. So for example, I was talking to my mom about going back to school. And I was telling her, I'm like, Mom, I'm battled with going back to school for so long. I just don't know if it's the right fit for me. And some of my self-doubt when it came to school, these are some of the conversations that my voice was having with me. Do you even need to go back to school? If you go back to school, like, you might be mediocre, like you might get comfortable and you might get complacent and you might not go after the things that you really want. And what if you go to school and you fail your test and you don't do good and you don't get your license? And what about all of these things? And I was talking to my mom about it, and especially about the piece about being mediocre, because I think that was that was a really, really big one for me. Like, what if I just get this license and I just live a regular life? I don't want to live a regular life. I want to live a spectacular life. I want to live an impactful life. And so what if I don't do it? And my mom gave me another perspective, and she was like, Sean, stack your deck. Stack your deck. This is just you giving yourself more resources, more entrances into doors, having your credentials, having your degrees. Like, this is you stacking your deck for success. I didn't even think about it like that, because my voice of self-doubt was too busy telling me how much it wasn't needed and I wasn't good enough for it. And if I got it, I would be mediocre. Like, when you think about it, like, how sick and twisted is it of me to think that expanding myself and learning more would somehow be to my detriment, especially after I even got a psychic reading probably like a year ago at this point. And he's like, you're going to be going back to school and it's going to unlock some things for you. So even though I had that confirmation, he didn't know me. I was just starting to consider even possibly going back to school at that time. And so the fact that he mentioned to me was like confirmation, but I'm still doubting it. I'm still like, well, God, I don't know. Do I need to do this? And so talking to other people about it, sometimes it gives you an opportunity to hear another perspective outside of the one that you're thinking, because your one might be rooted in some self-sabotage, in some self-doubt, and some fear of being successful, some fear of being great, some fear of being expansive. So it's important also to surround yourself with people who are encouraging you to move towards your greatness. And if you don't talk, I talk to my mom, but I also have had a therapist and I'm in therapy, and I talk to my therapist, right? Because she is also someone who can give me a different perspective than the one that I'm having in my head. Because if I'm just having this internal dialogue, just me, myself, and I, sometimes I might not be able to see the different light and the different perspective. So step 2 is definitely talk to the voice or talk to someone about the voice, okay? And not in a crazy way, because let's just be clear, talking to yourself is totally healthy. I mean, if you can't talk to you, then who the hell can you talk to? Who can I run to? To share the I can't remember the words. Who can I tell me who when I need love? Who can I talk to if I can't talk to myself? So talk back to that voice. Ask it why it's believing these things. Why are you believing that school will make me mediocre? Is this true? No. Could you do something differently? Why do you believe that you'll fail the test? Why are you not giving yourself an opportunity to try? So talk back to that voice and really get to understand, because a lot of times it's going to come back to some root of not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, um not feeling good, not good enough, not feeling the resources, not feeling ready. A lot of times that's what the root of that voice is. And those are false truths that we a lot of times can believe in, but they're not actually true. One of my fears with going back to school was also, how am I going to have time? And I was talking about anxiety. Anxiety is being too far in the future. How am I going to have time to go back to school? Just do it and let God make a way. Ask God to make a way for it to work. How that's going to work, you don't really need to worry about it. I don't really need to worry about it. I know God's going to make a way. I know God's going to make a way, right? Because this is something I'm supposed to be doing. And check out the other episode about indecisiveness, because I don't want to go too much into that. Number 3, okay, on how to embody negative self-talk. Give it grace. Give it grace. Because honestly, getting mad at yourself for having negative thoughts is so not productive. It's not beneficial to you and your relationship with yourself. I mean, you have to allow yourself space to be you. And if this is a part of you at this time, if this is a part of your journey at this time, there's no need to get upset with it. Because really what this voice is trying to do, its intention, right? What was the thing I heard the other day? The intention and then how it actually ends up going can be two different things. But the intention of this voice actually isn't to hurt you. Like the voice that was telling me not to go to school, its goal wasn't like, I want to see you fail. Like it wasn't that. It's like, well, I don't want you to get hurt, because what if you go and you do fail? Like, what if you go and it's not good? I'm trying to protect you. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want your feelings to get hurt. I don't want to I don't want you to feel like a disappointment. I don't want you to be disappointed in me. I don't want you to be disappointed in us. Right? This voice is really trying to protect me. It's trying to guard me. It just is doing it from a fear-based place because it doesn't know what to expect. Like the self-doubting voice is really and truly coming through, trying to give you all of the worst case scenarios so that you can, in a weird way, prepare or not go after it, because it's just safer to not do it. So give this voice grace, because its intention isn't to hurt you, but it is to help you. But the awareness of the voice allows you space to go beyond it. Like to say, I know that you're scared. I know that you don't see this, you have a perspective that this isn't going to work out. I know that you can see the negative things, but what if it does work out? And it's like almost talking to a little child. It's like, well, but what if it does? And what if it is successful? And the worst case scenario, the good thing about self-doubt is you get to go through all the worst case scenarios, right? Like worst case scenario, all right, Sean, you failed the test. Worst case scenario. I mean, it'll be sad, sure, but like anything in life, like life will go on. If this is not life or death, life will go on. We will proceed and we will find another thing and we will move to another thing. So, worst case scenario, you fail. Like, that's okay. I'll be right here to pick you up if you do. I'll be right here to help you pivot if you do. So, yeah, that voice says give it grace. Give it grace. It doesn't want you to be hurt. It doesn't want you to be disappointed. And that's its intention. Um, but to live life is to be okay with all of that. Are you fully living if you aren't allowing yourself to experience life out of fear? You know, so we give it grace. We honor that it's stance and its purpose, and we move through it. So the last and final step here is do the opposite of what the voice says. Okay, if the voice says go left, you go right. No, I'm joking. But truly, do the opposite of what the voice says, because the voice, like I just said, is only trying to keep you safe, and so safety can equal complacency. Safety can equals just being in your comfort zone, being in what you're familiar with. But what we talk about here, and probably your goal, is to expand, is to be bigger, is to do better, and to do more, and to have more, because we are creators. Like, we are creative beings here. Like, what we're here on earth to do is to expand into different parts of us, understand different things about us, understand all the motions and the things, like learning new things, trying new skills, meeting new people, loving, trying new foods. Like, that's what we do here. And so do the opposite of what that voice says, because it's trying to keep you safe and in the known. But everything that you did up until this point, right? At some point, it was unknown. And you made it out alive, right? Like, you made it out okay, not too shabby, not too scarred up, right? So if you made it out, and you did because you're here watching this, sorry, something is trying to come through. There's this song. I put it's called Broken Promises, and it's by Maverick City. But there's this clip from the song that I listen to, and I think the song is called I Still Bless You, by Naomi. And she says, I still bless you in the middle of the storm, in the middle of my trials. There's nothing that you have been through that God has not brought you through. If you are awake and you are trying again and you are living, you have overcome. You have been brought through it. Because to not be brought through it would be death, right? You wouldn't even be here. But you have been brought through it. You are being brought through it. So just remember, when you're having fear of going into the unknown, that something that you did before you didn't know, and you were brought through it. Sometimes I get so high on God because I look back at the moments in my life where I just like cried and didn't know how I was going to get through things. I was telling someone in my life the other day that was going through a breakup. I said every breakup feels like it's gonna be the end. Like, I will never meet this. This was the best person for me. This was the best thing for me. And then eventually you meet somebody else and life goes on. So everything that, like, even I have been through in my journey, I remember being in it and it hurting so bad and it feeling so hard. And then I look at where I am now and I'm like, I made it through that. So when you're worried about going into the unknown, just remember that everything that you've already done up until this point, like, at some point it was an unknown thing and you've made it through. And that has been proven time and time again through your life, through the people around you's life. It is a proven fact. So you don't have to be scared to go into the unknown, because you'll come out on the other side of it. You'll work through it and everything will be okay. So a little bit into doing the opposite, right? What is a tip for doing the opposite? Create a plan. Create a plan. Create a plan. Create a plan. The importance of the plan, let me explain. Create a plan and put a time limit on it. That's the two. I'm sorry. I think that's the second part of these notes. Create a plan while you're in the right mind, while you're in your encouraged mind, right? And set a time period and stick to your plan. Because when the sun shines, because what can happen, not what will happen, I will not prophesy that or speak that over you, but what can happen is, if you're like how I had my experience, I had set a goal of posting every day. I need to set an alarm actually on my phone right now. Please hold. Siri, set an alarm for 30 minutes from now to post TikTok.
Done.
Thank you. I post my content for today. I had made a promise to myself that I was going to post content every day for 30 days. Well, it ended up being every day for 30 days, right? That wasn't where it started. It started off as 5 days a week, but now we're at every day for 30 days. And I'm almost at my 30 days. I'm actually 3 days off from my 30 days, you guys. So pretty excited about that. But I made that plan. And when self-doubt came in and told me, like, a few nights, it was like maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night, and I hadn't posted yet. Like right now, I'm filming pretty late. It's 9 o'clock at night, and it's like, Sean, that's not how it sounds. It sounds more like me, but I'm just gonna be dramatic. Sean, it is 9 o'clock at night. People are in their beds. It's Tuesday. You need to post that TikTok. And it's like, you need to post that reel. No one gonna see that thing, girl. No one gonna see that thing. You don't need to post that. But I had a plan. And I told myself I was going to stick to my plan. And then I would reassess my plan after 30 days. If after 30 days, there's different increments. There was 30 days, there was 60 days, and there was 90 days, right? There's different things. If I look at this after 30, 60 days, 90 days, and I'm not seeing an improvement or movement in the right direction or some kind of change, then maybe I'll make a new plan, right? But for this next 30 days at least, I'm going to fully commit to this no matter what you're saying, no matter what conversation. If your goal is to go into the gym and you want to have a healthier body, and this is a commitment that you're making, make a plan. 9 o'clock every day, we're going to do this. I'm going to be there. 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to go off to work at 5 o'clock, 3 days a week, 2 days a week, whatever is feasible for you, for your journey, skirt, whatever is feasible for you and for your journey. Make your plan be as realistic or unrealistic as you desire. I like a healthy dose of setting my standards really low for I can aim high. I talked about it in another episode. I don't remember which episode number that was. I believe it was episode 4 or 5. But I love remembering. My skills of remembering is getting better. A healthy dose of setting the bar low so I can excel. So it's whatever your personal preference is. I don't recommend setting your bar way too high, because if your goals feel way too attainable, then you're more likely that self-doubt voice she gonna go crazy on you. He gonna go crazy on you. But set it a little bit out of your comfort zone. Just try a little bit out of your comfort zone. So set your plan and then stick to your plan. And when that voice comes in, this is the plan that we made. I'm going to at least give myself 30 days. You can at least give yourself a certain time. Like, you can at least give yourself 30 days. And it takes 30 days to even build a new habit. So give yourself at least 30 days. You deserve it. You deserve it. And that 30 days will go by so fast. Okay? So make a plan. set a time limit of at least, I would say, 30 days and stick to the plan. When self-doubt comes in, nope, we gotta stick to the plan. Nope, that was not part of the plan. Nope, nope. I don't care what you're saying. Nope, nope. Because you're gonna give yourself 30 days to at least prove to yourself that you are worthy enough to try, and to prove to yourself that if you stick with something, you might see something, right? So those are my 4 tips, my 4 points that I talked to God about when it comes to bodying self-doubt. But there were some last bits that came through, which were some helpful tips. And so, let's talk about it. Okay, so number 1, remember you can pivot. What I meant when I wrote this is, remember that, like, if the thing doesn't work out, the beauty is you have the ability to do something different. You have the ability to pivot and to change lanes. You get the opportunity to change and to try something new. So you try for 30 days, not working. You have the ability to reevaluate and reassess. And so when it comes to pivoting, you have to be open to pivoting. That's my second tip. Be open to pivoting, because pivoting comes with improvement or a different result, right? So improvement, or you can say it comes with a different result, because I don't want to think of things as good and bad. Um, like here, I don't think episodes 1 through 6 were bad. I think they were perfect for what they were meant to do, and they were meant to do what they did. And I think that the episodes going forward are meant to do what they do. Um, Sometimes I would be really hesitant about putting out content, because I don't hold myself to one way of thinking, or one way always being the thing. A lot of times I allow myself to be open to changing and having different perspectives, because different things will serve me at different times. There might be a period where I'm like, be super strong on your standards, and then other ones where I'm like, but open your heart up, because it just depends on what season you're in and what God is working on with you in that point of your process. So some things may be needed at times, and some things may not be needed. So remember, with pivoting, be open to it. Be open to being changed. Be open to accepting a different routine. Don't get rigid in the thing that you set. Be open, because that's whole part of the process, right? The other thing. Oh, Jesus, I love this one. Because this was another episode that got lost in the hard drive. Don't be afraid to be seen trying. I can't tell you. I literally can't tell you, if I tried, how many times I have picked up and put down this thing here. Not the podcast specifically, but this thing here of speaking and sharing, and however that looked for me. Y'all, let me tell y'all, I had a YouTube channel before people were getting paid for YouTube. Okay, it was Where Fashion Matters. If you have by some chance found me from that, hey girl, hey. Where Fashion Matters, 11:30 babes. I was on YouTube in, I think I was in 10th grade, 11th grade, and I'm like 10 years from that. Okay, 10 years from that. So I had it before people were even getting paid to do it. I have put it down. I have picked it up. I have put it down. I have picked it up. I have started businesses, stopped businesses, started businesses, stopped businesses. And I used to feel so much shame around it. Like, oh my God, I was a flop. Oh my God, like, people are seeing me keep trying new things. Oh my gosh, she's not sticking into to anything. Oh my God, da, 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 da. I had these thoughts, honestly. And then there was this point where I realized, like, I am trying. I'm just trying things and to see what sticks. And so if anyone wants to shame me or be upset with me or talk about me for trying, I'm gonna just tell them they could suck a cucumber real quick, because because to get anything, they talk about entrepreneurs in their journal all the time. Like, it's a lot of times not whatever the first thing you picked up was. Like, being a YouTuber and beauty influencing might not be my thing. Having my sunglasses company, like, it was so hard to let it go. I still have inventory, child. Anyone want to buy it off of me? Because I I felt so much guilt closing that down because it was like, oh my God, I'm pivoting again. But if people see me who know me, people who don't know me, see me trying, I was brave enough to try. Like, you're brave to try. Don't discount yourself or talk down to yourself because you're trying something. If people see you trying, so what? They should be inspired. And because the world sometimes isn't set up like that, that's their own insecurity coming through. That's not your burden to bear. You try as much as you need to try until you do the thing that lights you up, until you're like, everything I did lit me up. And then when it stopped, I stopped. Do the things that are lighting you up, and don't be afraid to be seen trying. If there's something, if you want to be an artist and you started a page on Instagram to share your art and you stopped sharing it, this is maybe specific for somebody, and you stopped sharing it, don't be afraid to start sharing again. Even the algorithm be shaming you because it'd be like, now you the came when trying to do this several times. I ain't sharing your stuff no more. Baby, create a new account, and just keep trying. You're worth trying over and over again. Because what I talked about in the last episode was time's gonna pass, and you don't want time to pass you by and realize that you were living for other people or living for the opinions of others. Don't be afraid to be seen trying, because you, my dear, are inspiring people who you don't even know. And it will all be worth it when you make it to the destination. So I love that one. And the last tip was be open-hearted. Be open-hearted, which goes a lot with your ability to pivot. I'm trying to see what place I wrote this from. Be open-hearted. Be open-hearted to the ways that you are being transformed. Be open-hearted to the way that you're being different, and allow yourself to be different. Allow the other voice to become the more dominant one. Body your self-doubt and allow yourself self-celebration. Be open-hearted to that change, because when you start to body self-doubt, when you implement these things and start to change, a new mindset will be unlocked, and you have to allow it into your life. Every change you have to allow in. You have to decide to not continue old behaviors and old patterns. So be open-hearted. And then at the bottom here, I just wrote, like, I'm just going to read it. Because it's about the hard drive. I wrote, I'm so thankful to God. This is when I think I had the epiphany. I'm so thankful to God for breaking my hard drive. It made me question and assess my approach. It gave me the opportunity to restart. It opened my eyes to a restart and a refresh. When it broke, my self-doubt thought, oh, it's a sign to stop. No, it was a sign to assess. What was I doing, and was it working? Did it align with the vision? You don't know what to change if you don't start. That is the end of this message. You don't know what to change if you don't start. So when it comes to self-doubt, don't allow that voice. Give it grace, of course, but know that it's coming from a place of protection, but ultimately it's keeping you back from your greatness. So body that voice, get started. And when you get started, allow yourself to be open-hearted to pivot, and know for a fact that where you start is not where it's going to end. What it looks like today is not what it's going to look like as it goes. And if you need proof in that fact, look at every brand that's existed, every person who has done something. With time, things get fine like wine, right? Things improve with time. But if you never start, if you let self-doubt keep holding you back, you'll never get to see your improvement. You'll never allow yourself the space to grow, and you deserve it and you can do it. So I want to encourage you to say that you absolutely have this. I absolutely have this. We absolutely have this. And self-doubt will not rule up in here, and it will not have our minds. Okay, so how are we deciding to be limitless? It's very interesting because I'm changing the format of this podcast. I'm seeing if my things that I have still work. How are we deciding to be limitless today? We are deciding to be limitless by understanding where the doubt is coming from, honoring what it's trying to do, and moving beyond it because we are truly limitless. And wherever we go on our journey and whatever we go through, we will navigate through it because we have done it time and time again. So sorry if y'all heard that. I forgot my phone during disturb. All right. Well, y'all know I love y'all. And it was been amazing chatting with you guys. If you guys are not already following me on social media, I don't know what you're waiting for. What are you waiting for? Follow me at Authentically Sean. I would love to see you there. And follow the podcast, okay? If you want to continue this conversation and you're on the visuals on YouTube, comment something. Let me know what you're thinking. Was it helpful? Did you get something out of it? What are your opinions? How does your self-doubt voice sound? I really want to know because I was baffled when I realized that was my self-doubt. I really thought she was out here for my greatest good. I was like, oh, she got me. Yeah. She's like, yeah, you're never going to post because it's always going to get better. It's like, girl, damn. Well, she was wild. So I love her though. But let me know what your self-doubt voice sounds like. If this resonated with you, if you got something from it, let me know. And if you did, of course, then give this video a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, and don't forget to rate the podcast if you're enjoying the conversation. Love you so much. And I will talk to you in the next conversation. Bye.